Welcome to the Explainer. So, if you've ever walked through a modern manufacturing floor, or maybe a massive power plant, you already know that keeping track of operations is absolutely critical. But how do you actually go beyond just staring at those momentary flashing data points? How do you see the past, present, and future of an entire industrial process all at a single glance? Well, the key to that kind of mastery is exactly what we're focusing on today: trend screens.
Think about it for a second. How do engineers actually monitor changing data over time? I want you to imagine that you're responsible for keeping an eye on a complex facility. Maybe it's a bustling chemical plant. Now imagine you only get to see a single momentary data point for a critical machine. No history, no context whatsoever, just one flashing number on a screen. Operating like that is incredibly dangerous, right? You'd essentially be flying blind to things like slow leaks, gradual temperature spikes, or just creeping inefficiencies.
To get a real grip on this, we're going to run through a quick roadmap today. First, what exactly are trend screens? Second, we'll look at the components and how they actually work. Third, the benefits they bring to the table. Fourth, some real-world applications. And finally, we'll take a quick look at DVI automation solutions.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1. What are trend screens?
At their core, trend screens are these dynamic graphical displays baked right into your HMI, that's human-machine interface, or your SCADA systems, and they show how process values shift over time. Decades ago, this literally required massive paper rolls and actual ink pens plotting data on a wall. But today, these digital interfaces show you both live and historical data in a seamless visual graph, so you can instantly track things like temperature, pressure, flow rate, tank levels, motor speed, you name it.
The difference this makes in operational awareness is literally night and day. On one hand, a static, current reading means if a temperature suddenly spikes and then drops while you step away to grab a coffee, you completely miss the anomaly. There's no record of it. But historical data rendered on a trend screen, that is dynamic. It pulls back the curtain on hidden patterns, those tiny fluctuations, and gives you the full, uninterrupted story of how that machine is performing.
Let's put a time frame on this to really see why it matters. Think about a 24-hour window at a municipal water treatment plant. An operator needs to know exactly how a water tank level fluctuated over the last full day. Instead of sifting through hundreds of disjointed individual readings, a trend screen hands them a single, continuous graph for all 24 hours. Instantly, they can spot exactly when the high usage periods hit, or if there were any weird, abnormal drops in the water level.
Moving right along to Section 2, Components and Working Principle. These visual components give operators some serious analytical power. A typical screen isn't just a flat picture, it's a highly interactive tool. You've got your main trend graph plotted along an x-axis for time and a y-axis for the process value. You've got a legend so you can decipher multiple tags at once, but the real magic, that's in the interactive features. Things like zoom and pan controls, time selection, and the data cursor. These tools let an operator scrub through the history and zoom in on a microscopic blip in the data with absolute precision.
So, how does a physical event on the factory floor actually become a line on a graph? Well, it's basically a seamless 6-step relay race. It starts with physical sensors out there collecting raw data. Then a PLC, a programmable logic controller, processes those raw signals. Those values get fired straight over to the HMI or SCADA system where they're safely stored in a database. Then the trend screen pulls that data to render those interactive graphs we just talked about. And the final, most crucial step, the operator using that continuous data to make a smart, informed decision.
Which brings us to Section 3, the benefits of trend screens.
Look, every single feature on a trend screen directly translates to a hard business outcome. When you combine real-time and historical monitoring, you get much faster troubleshooting. Because operators can literally look back in time and see exactly when a metric started to drift, that early fault detection drastically cuts down on costly downtime. And ultimately, all this visual data fuels process optimization. We're talking better energy management and just a much higher overall production quality.
But here's the catch. You only get those benefits if the screens are actually usable. Designing these systems means you have to stick to some strict best practices. You want to avoid visual clutter by only displaying the process values that actually matter. You've got to use clear access labels and units, stick to consistent colors for each parameter, keep the layout clean, and intuitively group related parameters together. Because a well-designed screen tells a very clear story, but a poorly designed one, that just creates a bunch of confusing noise.
Let's dive into Section 4, Real-World Applications.
So where is this technology used? Honestly, the short answer is everywhere. Trend screens are foundational across a huge variety of global industries. We're talking heavy-duty sectors like manufacturing and packaging, massive power plants, and oil and gas. But they're equally crucial in food and beverage or water treatment facilities. And the crazy thing is, this technology scales all the way down to precision monitoring in smart agriculture, managing home automation, and even tracking output in solar energy operations.
Let's ground this a bit with a quick, real-world scenario so we can see just how high the stakes can be. Set the scene with me. We are inside a complex pharmaceutical manufacturing plant. In this industry, precision isn't just a nice-to-have, it's a strict regulatory requirement. Here, the engineers are using a trend screen to monitor the highly sensitive temperature of a chemical reactor.
Suddenly, we've got a conflict. The trend screen graph starts showing a very subtle, gradual increase in that reactor's temperature over the last few hours. Now, if an operator were just relying on momentary, live readings every once in a while, this slow, creeping rise would be almost entirely invisible to them, right up until the reactor hit a critical, potentially catastrophic threshold.
But because they have that continuous trend screen, the resolution is incredibly swift. The operators visually spot that rising trend on the graph. They immediately jump in and adjust the cooling system way before the temperature ever reaches a danger zone. That one simple visual catch prevents total product loss, protects some seriously expensive equipment from getting wrecked, and makes sure the final product's quality remains completely intact.
All right, wrapping things up with Section 5, Devi Automation Solutions. Understanding how to use and build these screens is a massive step toward mastering industrial automation, HMI, SCADA, and all those Industry 4.0 technologies. And the experts really championing this as both an educational and professional resource are Devi Automation Solutions. Their focus is super clear: smart technology, powerful solutions, better tomorrow. They cover everything from core industrial gear to cutting-edge IIoT and smart agriculture. Devi provides highly professional solutions across a really wide spectrum of modern automation. We're talking expertise in PLC programming, HMI development, which of course is exactly where these trend screens are built, along with SCADA systems and VFD drives. They are even pushing into artificial intelligence, the industrial Internet of Things, and forward-looking sectors like smart agriculture and solar. So whether you're a student just starting out or a seasoned industry pro, they've got the tools to help you build smarter systems.
If you want to actually take action on what we've covered today, Devi Automation Solutions is totally ready to connect. For business inquiries, project support, or if you're looking for technical training to really master these exact skills yourself, you can reach out to them directly at deviautomationsolutions@gmail.com.
Which leaves us with one final, provocative question. We've seen how ditching those static data points for dynamic, historical trends completely revolutionizes how we protect and monitor complex operations. The tools are out there, and the training is available. So the real question is, are you ready to master these technologies and build smarter automation systems? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.